Yes, Sarah Silverman says. Alone.
Yes.
Yes.
2 for
Yes.
yeah. Everybody
Yes.
says yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody
It
says
feels weird at first.
Michael's.
You know, there's a linguist at Smithsonian named Ives Goddard who looked at the history of the term and concluded, a guy with real credentials, I'm not an expert, but he said that this was actually a phrase and an expression that Native Americans, we didn't call them that then, coined for themselves. I think that the history is not as clear as people complaining today make it out to be.
What about the picture of the crazy guy with the hatchet and the feathers?
Yeah.
Is that he's going to scalp someone?
But who cares if it's? But if they don't like it, I mean,
If they don't
haven't
like
we,
it,
haven't
what's
we,
the problem? Just
haven't
let
we
it
done
go.
enough shit
Yeah.
to the Indians? We can't give this little. I mean, we fucking committed genocide, gave them smallpox, took their land. We can't even just change the name of a team.
It's atrocious.
In 1 year, they would completely forget it.
Change is hard, but then it passes and it's not a big deal.
Exactly.
Remember when people smoked in bars and restaurants and you
Right.
couldn't imagine life without that?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I think the real Americans deserve the name that they want.
I do
They want
too.
it out.
Out.
That's what I think.
it's literally the least we can do.
Does Nancy Pelosi appointing Democrats to the Benghazi investigative panel give the scandal validity? Now, this was a hard one for the Democrats. They wanted, on the one hand, to boycott this because it's a completely bullshit panel. On the other hand, they wanted somebody on the panel to be able to at least make the counter-argument when the crazy stuff was voiced. Did they do the right thing?
You know, here's the Libya question that gets lost in the Benghazi uproar, which is went to war in Libya to overthrow Gaddafi, and Libya now is more unstable, more unpredictable because this president, following some of his predecessors, said, I'm prepared to go to war, but I'm not prepared to do what is necessary after the war to make a success of the war I fought. And that I think is what the country is struggling with, the Benghazi story, struggling to put its hands on, is why is al-Qaeda in Libya now?
Dave, we didn't really go to war. At the moment, it was a humanitarian crisis. They thought that Gaddafi, who was still alive, as you recall, they thought his troops were going to be slaughtering people. So they bombed from the air. It cost $1 billion. We lose that in the couch every day at the Pentagon. We didn't exactly go to war.
It's a war. We did it with airplanes, and we did it with covert means, and we provided weapons and trainers.
And you were against that. You were for Iraq.
I was for it. I was for Libya.
Okay.
But wait. But what I assumed was going to happen was that there was going to be afterwards a stage 4 operation, a phase 4 operation, and they were going to make it a better place.
By doing what?
By
boots on the ground.
By providing aid. You don't need a lot of soldiers, but you need a lot of other kinds of. You need some soldiers, you need some kind of civilian infrastructure.
So we'd be putting more boots on the ground in another Muslim country.
Well, if you're not prepared to do that, then leave Gaddafi alone because you don't have a plan for what comes next. Colin Powell was right.
So you would
break
just
it,
have
you do
allowed him to slaughter people.
No,
as
I said,
all over.
as I said, I was in favor of that intervention, but I would have expected it to be seen all the way through instead of to say, okay, he's gone, goodbye, and what happens next, we don't care. This country that is on the north shore of the Mediterranean, 300 miles from the coast of Italy.
Can I make a quick point? I don't buy into all of these Benghazi hearings. The one that I'd like to hear is the investigation as to why we haven't brought to justice whoever killed the 4 Americans. And that's not what this is about. Benghazi has become, if you remember from Seinfeld, Festivus, the airing of all grievances. It's this like one-word catchphrase for everything that this evildoer, the president, according to them, has ever done. It's been a moving target from Jump Street, and this is just a continuation of that.
Isn't it time for the major sports leagues to rethink their policies on marijuana use by athletes? Yes. I mean, so many of the athletes smoke weed, and so many of them do it because they're in constant pain from the sport that they play, and so many of them do it just because they're loyal, wonderful Americans like me.
They would be far better off smoking pot than they would getting hooked on prescription pain meds, which then has.
Remember Ricky Williams from the Dolphins, the great running back. He was a big pot smoker. They suspended him over and over again, and he was like, you know what? I have these anxiety issues. Marijuana helps me, and they were like, no, you're going to use the stuff from Pfizer and Eli Lilly, just like a real man would.
I may be the last person standing opposing legalization, but those interested, I wrote a big article with a lot of sites in the last issue of Commentary explaining why this is a public policy disaster in the making. Don't do it.
Why? It's so crazy to me. I mean, it gives
Yes.
just the money that will go to the deficit and to statewide alone. But it's so much better for you than alcohol. Alcohol's
Exactly.
poison. People die every day from drinking and driving. Have you ever heard of someone dying from pot and driving?
We smoke a lot of weed. Do we strike you as crazy or fucked up? I mean,
You know, I get put on the spot that way a lot, and I don't know what the correct answer is.
Well-
but let's put it this way: tobacco and alcohol are both dwindling problems. Fewer and fewer Americans drink. Fewer and fewer Americans smoke.
What?
It's true.
According to what?
Not here.
Drink.
you know what?
Read the article and look at the sites.
Cocktails are coming back.
You can count it.
They never went away. When I was
The really big cocktails.
I should say they drink less. Americans drink less. The alcohol consumption is down.
Not in New York City.
It's just a fact.
come on.
Tobacco consumption is
I may be a
dramatically
little
down. It's dramatically down. It's down to
You know
about
what?
1 out of 5
When I-
Americans.
Countries where all
Marijuana-
drugs are legal don't have drug problems.
Yes.
When I was in high school, I was the delivery boy for the local liquor store, and I learned something about liquor. It's a fantastic product to sell because people love it when they're happy and celebrating, and they need it when they're down and depressed.
Right.
It's always in vogue, and it will always be in vogue because liquor always works.